Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Max and Friends. Let's do a podcast featuring Max and Friends, a podcast with Max and Friends podcast. Today is another special guest episode. Very, very rare to have two in a row. Every single time we've done it, it's been two in a row. So today I got guests Aiden.
It's me again. Hello.
And then also a new special guest, Netflix Emmy-winning Netflix star of an Emmy-winning Netflix show, Zach Timson.
Hi, thank you. I want to just clarify, I did not win an Emmy Award, but the show did
You
win
did
an
win an
Emmy
Emmy.
Award.
What did it win it for? What did it win it for?
Zach has actually the world record for the most Emmys ever won.
I do not.
by
Zach
any-
has an EGOT.
Let me explain.
Zach has 8 EGOTs.
Let me explain. The Who Was show was nominated for 6 Daytime Emmy Awards, including Outstanding Children's Series, Outstanding Writing for Children's Series, etc., etc. We only won one. We won for Outstanding Sound Editing. So if you watch the Who Was show on Netflix, not only will you see me, but you'll hear some Emmy Award-winning sound editing.
I thought you guys also won the opening song.
No, we were nominated for Outstanding Main Title Design.
Who sung that song?
I did sing the song. I sang the theme song along
Emmy-winning Zach Timson.
along with
Emmy-
Willa Crawford, who was in the film Into the Woods back in 2014 and played Annie on Broadway back in 2012.
Hey
Does she
Max,
know
you know
Meryl
who else?
Streep?
You know who else was Into the Woods?
Who?
Oh, what's his name?
James Corden.
The main guy, James Corden.
No! I hate him. I hate him so much. I hate him, and I have no reason to hate him. Okay, Zach. So, welcome to the podcast. It's great to have you here. You're the only person who's ever actually wanted to be on the podcast. Everyone else has just been like, "Yeah, I guess I'll do it. I guess."
I've been asking for like a year at this point. So
Yeah, but then you were lucky for, or unlucky for you. Sorry. You were asking for the year that I wasn't doing it.
Okay, I get it.
So now that I'm doing it again, I thought, finally I'll have you on.
Thank you for having me.
I got to tell you about the ground rules of the podcast.
Okay, go for
Rule number 1, there are no rules. Rule number 2, don't say the N-word.
it. I wasn't going to.
I just want to make sure, because I know in your personal life you like to say it a lot.
Slander.
No, it's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. Don't hashtag him. Don't hashtag him. Don't get him.
Okay.
I'm gonna be canceled before the end of this podcast. Jesus.
Let's move away from this topic of discussion as
All
three
right,
white men.
Let's go to
Please.
the topic for today. Penis and Herb.
Oh boy.
Zach, how about you start us off?
That was a great topic, guys. Really great podcast there.
You want me to start us off on the topic of penis?
No, I actually want to
first?
start. I have a question for you guys. You guys have seen a lot of Phineas and Ferb.
Okay.
I've seen, I think, every
Yes.
episode except the last, 2 or 3.
Ooh, those are good though.
And then
I
I
have
also
seen-
watched the Marvel thing that they did because it was bad.
Oh no!
I'm ashamed to admit I've seen every episode of Phineas and Ferb except for the OWCA files, which they released after the series finale.
I am not ashamed to admit I've seen all of them, including the OWCA files.
Ooh,
Ah.
who's the biggest
I have
fan?
And they're actually, I thought they were pretty funny. They're
Okay,
pretty good.
I'll check them out then. I have Disney Plus.
Yeah,
I'll
you would like
watch them
them,
after
yeah.
this.
I'm actually surprised you haven't seen them.
Yeah, I don't know. I started it and then I got busy and I got busy with the shows, but I need to
thought
finish
it
it. Okay,
So
I'll check it
let's
out.
talk
I mean,
about what I wanted to talk about the most. How old is Candice?
I'd say Candice
Like
is
15, right?
15 or 16.
Yeah.
All right, do you think her and Jeremy fuck?
Well, here's the thing. We know that Jeremy is a year older than Candice because she specifies as such in the in Phineas and Ferb Across the Second Dimension. So let's say they were 16 and 17. That seems standard time for high schoolers in relationships to be losing their virginity. And so, assuming that
No. Candice lost her virginity way before with her. What's
Wait,
her
what?
lady friend?
Ooh, which
with
friend?
Stacy,
Yeah, the one that she's always hanging out with.
I'm out. You
I
think
can
that,
I can definitely see Candice and Stacy doing a lot of experimentation.
Yeah, they were like,
With
"What
it.
if this is the way it is?" And then they both did it, and they both
Like-
agreed to never talk about
like
it.
they're-
But they went
like-
all the way.
Here's the hypothetical. they're getting really crappy sex education. They had hit puberty a couple years ago.
Oh yeah, they live in the tri-state area. It's bad there. Bad sex ed.
But they didn't really know anything until they're getting this really bad sex education.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone knows really bad sex education probably leads to way more sex of of people who are getting that education than good sex education.
Oh yeah.
So they're probably experimenting because they don't know anything. They don't know what anything is. Yeah.
I would say Candice and Jeremy. The thing is, Jeremy's a respectful guy, and I think he doesn't try to push things on her. I would say in the first 2 seasons, no, they did not have sex, but around the 3rd season, they are a full-fledged relationship at this point.
I feel like
for a while.
Jeremy's definitely a nice guy, but also she's throwing that ass back on him all the time.
Keep in mind, Jeremy also is very he's very patient with Candice.
Yeah, but also she's she's basically waving him in with the those things on the airfields where those red cones that they have.
Yeah.
She's come in, I'm ready for it, and then he's you think that a 16-year-old dude getting that kind of green light is gonna say nah?
Address for a second how Max approached me and said, "Hey, I want to do a conversation with you about Phineas and Ferb," and I was like, "That sounds great." And then I go into this, and the first question is,
do they fuck?
Fucked. I did not know this is what I was walking into.
I want to go back to something. Zach, you said Jeremy is a respectable guy. He probably doesn't push anything on Candice. I feel like that's not the first thing should be when you're defining who a respectable person is. That's not the first thing you should consider. Whether they try to push things onto somebody else. That's down in the worst things that
let me do. What I meant was you see a lot of stereotypes on shows of the guy that's hey, what's going on, who's really sexually not attracted obviously, but someone who's really overtly sexual, and people who make a lot of innuendos. Jeremy legitimately seems the kind of guy that you would
No.
Jeremy seems like the kind of guy that you would want to introduce to your mother, and the kind of person that would I don't know. I feel like Jeremy would want to wait. I don't feel like he'd want to rush into things because
I could see Jeremy. I could see Jeremy waiting till marriage.
Absolutely not. You guys are idiots. We know that he's
what do you mean we're
all
idiots?
the time.
We've seen the show way more than you.
My opinion on Jeremy is that Jeremy is somewhere between wanting to wait till marriage and then doing it right away. I think around the 3rd or 4th season or sometime in between is when they would hypothetically have sex.
No, because remember when we were first introduced to Jeremy the first time, and he's oh, look at over there. There's Jeremy. He's so handsome. He's so pretty. He's got 8 girls around him, and he's talking to all of them. You know that dude fucks.
All right, so you think Jeremy? But I don't think
Jeremy's
Jeremy
a Chad.
Jeremy doesn't give off fuckboy vibes.
No.
You're so wrong, Max. You're so wrong about this.
He's talking it. Look.
I'm talking when we're first introduced. He changes. He has an arc as the series goes on, and he becomes less annoying.
Jeremy is easily the most static character.
Jeremy doesn't change from episode to first episode.
Let me explain to you this first episode thing. He's talking to these 8 girls because he's not seeing them as these are girls I could have sex with. To him, those are just 8 friends. Those are just 8 friends that he has that are women, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, with Candice, now that I think about it, I could also see him as being somebody who's very sex positive. And if he was all if you want to have sex, we can have sex, and then they do, and he never makes a big deal out of it.
I feel like
I think that too, because he's had sex so many times with all of these, all these other girls.
I feel
not the ones in his friend group, because those are his friends, but then other ones who are oh my god, because we're led to believe that he's the most handsome dude in the world, even though he's just Candice with a different haircut.
Here's the thing. Wait, I never noticed that. But Max, here's the thing. I don't think Candice would be attracted to Jeremy. Here's the thing. I think Candice, if you found out that he was sleeping with other girls, she would be devastated, and you'd see that in a lot of the episodes. But I think, I legitimately think that Jeremy is the kind of guy that a lot of girls are attracted to, but because he's so humble and just so innocent, and all girls are attracted to him. Because keep in mind, in lots of episodes in season 2, before Jeremy and Candice become an official couple, he expresses a lot of concern to his friend Coltrane and even to Phineas and Ferb, that he like doesn't know if Candice is into him. And literally like her eyes turn into hearts. Like how does the dude not know that she's into him? And I think it's because Jeremy doesn't know the power he has over women because he's just so naturally humble and to the core. I mean, like I don't think he knows how much Candice is into him.
I agree with that. I think Max is very wrong about Jeremy.
Listen,
Of course he is.
listen.
No, stop.
I feel like Jeremy's the kind of guy. I agree with the sex positive thing. He would definitely be like, Candice, if you want to have sex, that's your decision to make, and I think you should make that decision when you're ready. And whenever you're ready, I'll be ready too, because I love you and I'm with you all the way. And then she'd be like, okay, let's do it. He's like, cool. So do you want to put it in my butt first, or like, do you want to go the other way? Like he's like way into like other stuff that she's not ready for. And then she's like, "No, I'm not ready for that." He's like, "Oh, that's okay. We can wait. We can work up to it."
What do you think the craziest kink, Jeremy?
Honestly, can I be honest with you? I feel like Jeremy's the kind of guy. Like I really think he isn't I feel like he just like lies there and lets Candice do all the work. Obviously,
he's a pillow princess.
Yeah,
I don't know, dude. It's hard. I feel like he could be either like really good about it, but like very also humble about it. Like
how big do you think his dick
unexpectedly?
I feel like
good.
He's got a respectable cock.
I'd say 7 inches,
like 13 inches.
Something okay,
like,
but here's the thing. Here's the thing, though.
My size.
Okay, Candice has got a really long neck.
Yes.
Does she know how to use it?
Hey, he also has an equal.
How old is she supposed to be?
15, 16? I'd say 16.
I'm talking about her in the last episode where they're all older.
Yeah. You mean by 1 year? Do you guys
no, that's 2 years because Ferb is like 8 feet tall.
That's not the last episode.
The one episode where they're older. Yeah, that's not the last episode, man.
It's 10 years in the future, I think. By the way, I want to just take a minute to talk about how
or the time travel one where Candice's mom.
So can we take a minute to talk about the 10 years into the future? Because Phineas and Ferb are going to college, right? So that means they're about 18, 19. That means that they're 8 and 9 throughout the entire series, which doesn't seem right to me. It seems like they would be more. No, but it seems like they'd be more 10, 11 than 8 and 9.
Hey, bud, they could be like 40 and 40, and it still wouldn't really make sense how they could come up with all these inventions with the amount of maturity they have. Like,
let me ask you guys a question. Do you think the entire show takes place over the course of one summer or like multiple summers?
I think they were dead the whole time. It's all in their imagination.
no, just Ferb is dead, and this is how Phineas copes.
Damn, that's
every time Ferb speaks. Every time Ferb speaks, is Phineas dropping a little bit more into insanity because he's trying to get Ferb back.
Oh my God.
Ferb was very talkative when he was still alive. That's my theory that I just came up with right now.
All right, what about Buford? How come like the bully is just like accepted into their group? Like nothing is like he's not a huge dickwad to Baljeet.
I gotta say I just want to say the two best written relationships on the show are the relationships between Perry the Platypus and Dr. Doofenshmirtz and Buford and Baljeet, because the show does a terrific job of mocking the stereotype of the bully and the nerd and the mad scientist and the spy and making them like almost like friends. And I think Buford and Baljeet is hilarious to watch progress over the course of the series.
Yeah, they become friends and he becomes a good person and shit. But when we first meet him, he's a bully.
The episode is called He's a Bully. Literally.
And then they're like, "Hey, you want to be friends with us and hang out with us every day?"
Hey, honestly,
and Baljeet's like, "Bro, what the fuck?"
No, listen. Imagine if they didn't do that though. Buford probably had no friends before them. That's the way you're supposed to do it, you know. Kill him with kindness. Yeah, you take this guy that's bullying him, and because he's always going to expect like, "Oh, get away from us, go home." But instead, they're like, "Hey, come hang out with us."
And Max, they prevented
an instant change. Okay.
Yeah, Buford's definitely a school shooter.
No, he would have been, but then they stopped that.
Yeah, like you don't wear a skull shirt every single day of your life and not like own at least 2 guns.
Thing is, I think Buford actually has like he's a soft character, and that's just a front that he puts on.
He grows to be, but when
I disagree, Max. I think that he secretly like was soft the entire series, and he put on this front. And Phineas, Ferb, Isabella, and Baljeet were the only people that could really tell him, "Hey, it's okay to like be soft and be who you really are." And then I don't think he changed. I just think he opened up more throughout the series.
Opening up is a version of changing.
I mean, like, it's not like an Ebenezer Scrooge thing where it's like he was bad and then he was good. It's like he was always good, and then he just learned how to express it. Like, it's not like he was a villain and then he was a good guy.
Ebenezer Scrooge never became
a villain.
No.
Ebenezer Scrooge never became a good guy. That money that he gave to the kid to get the turkey, it was fake. The turkey that he gave the family, poisoned.
You're ruining a Christmas Carol. You're ruining a fucking Christmas Carol.
Oh, Tiny Tim's legs, he broke them.
Wait, it's not that he had broken legs. It's that he had a disease.
What disease? Broken leg-itis?
Yeah, what, polio?
I don't think it broke me. No.
Well,
there's a
polio?
lot of Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. No, he gave him polio too.
Double polio. Too fast, too polio.
No, Scrooge didn't even know that Tiny Tim existed until the Ghost of Christmas Present showed him.
That's how often he gives people polio. He doesn't even remember.
Turns out polio is just that like people eat. So he's the geese and then coughing on people.
It's like an STD, but only Scrooge can give it to you.
But still an STD. It's a Scrooge transmitted disease.
Oh yeah.
That still applies. What were we talking about?
We're talking about Phineas and Ferb and whether or not Candice
brought up
sucking my god level dick.
We were talking about we brought
old
up
Candice when she's older.
I thought we were talking about Doofenshmirtz.
Oh yeah, we were talking about Doofenshmirtz.
Yeah. What's your question again?
You guys keep cutting out. Fix your internet. Make it
you
not
cut
suck.
out. You cut out too.
Yeah, well, not to me.
I think it's because
I'm the one recording it, so everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, everyone else is cutting out, not this dude."
I think when two people are talking at the same time, heard, I guess.
No, it just happened just now.
Yep, it happened to you right now.
It's mostly Zach.
How about now?
Yeah, it does happen a lot. It has been happening with Zach a good amount.
Yeah, it happens the most with Zach because Zach's internet isn't good. Zach keeps hanging out with this guy named Scrooge.
Wait,
that was
okay. How about now?
What are you doing to change it? Are you trying to fix it, or are you just like doing nothing?
Time out. Hang on. The only way I can fix it is by resetting the router, and that's going to take like 10 minutes.
Yeah, don't do that.
That won't fix anything.
It actually does.
Aiden a lot of knows about my house. Computers.
Your internet right now, basically, I'm not going to explain this. It's going to be very boring for the people watching the podcast.
Explain it in Star Wars.
Okay, so you know, Anakin, and you know how he became evil.
Yeah.
And then at the very, very end, before he dies, he becomes good again.
Mm.
It's because they reset his internal router.
Yeah, that's what I was going to reset the router.
But if Zach does it, no. If you reset it now, because Anakin was good first, so if you reset it now, it'll become bad.
Okay, then how about? Am I good now?
Router,
am I good now?
I mean,
I guess
we can't tell until you cut out again. So
yeah,
we'll see.
So we're not gonna know.
Let's just continue with.
How about we just bully you every time it happens?
Yeah, that's a good thing to do to your first podcast guest. Yeah. Okay.
First.
I
mean, like, what I meant was like,
yeah, this is my
first time on writer on here.
Yeah, and AG Viper and
What I meant was this is my first time on the show.
So you're so important.
But I know you in real life, so you have to come back.
Civility. Never mind. Let's just continue on. Doofenshmirtz.
Like, that's what with Grace and people I don't know in real life, I have to like make sure that they have a good experience so that they want to come back. But you, like, I know you in real life, so I can just cry, and then you'll come back.
Yeah, it's true. I would. Anyway, let's continue.
Right. Okay, Doofenshmirtz.
What was the question?
Is he a villain?
No.
Oh, I think he like feels that he needs to be a villain because his childhood was shitty, but I don't think he like actually has any like evil motive.
Here's the interesting thing about Phineas and Ferb, because I don't see how any other TV show could ever pull this off. Basically, same, and there's no actual antagonist. That sounds like a show idea that would never ever work. But each episode is entertaining.
But there's other villains.
They're not villains to the overall story.
Yeah, like here and there villains, but like the evil guy from the Meep episodes, I don't remember his name.
No, Candice is the villain because she tries to bust him every time.
I guess Candice would be the main antagonist.
The thing is, a lot of times
their story doesn't work.
But you have to remember, a lot of episodes also paint Candice as the protagonist of that episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I think it's like, you know, Civil War. You can have two heroes fight each other, and then everyone's like, "Oh my god, it's so great."
I think the protagonist and the antagonist shift each episode depending on like who the focus is. Like, for example, like the episode "Run, Candice, Run," where like she takes like the prototype shoes. That episode like follows Candice more than it follows Phineas and Ferb, and so in a way, she's the protagonist because the protagonist is who you root for, right? And I don't want to say like people like root for Phineas and Ferb to get busted, but there are definitely a lot of episodes where you like want things to work out for Candice.
That's not really the definition of the protagonist, though.
Like, remember when they actually get busted?
You mean
the dream one?
Oh, that's a dream? I was like, I forgot what happened there. I was like,
where they get sent to military school. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
It's Perry the Platypus' dream.
Yeah, Perry. You think it's Candace's dream at the very end, and then it's revealed to be Perry's.
Perry the Platypus is dreaming of Candace dreaming of the boys going to military school. It's funny. It works out because you think the dream's over when Candace wakes up, and then like turns out Perry the Platypus's identity was revealed, and then everyone gets started taken away by the SWAT team. And then
you know what I love about that episode is that it's the first time it was in the first season. It's one of the first episodes like that shows that Perry legitimately loves Phineas and Ferb, because in the first season you just like you wonder like, oh yeah, Perry's just kind of like staying there because that's like his cover. But then when the show reveals that Perry is legitimately worried about losing Phineas and Ferb, and I think, and that comes into later. And then the whole film Across the Second Dimension. I think the show.
I didn't see that.
Really, you didn't see Across the Second.
No, I was like 2 dimensions. It's not enough dimensions.
I can say like Phineas and Ferb Across the Second Dimension is one of my favorite Disney Channel original movies. You should watch it.
Well, I also only watch Disney Channel movies, so like that's like top 10 movies for you.
I didn't like it as much as the show, but it was still pretty good.
I didn't like it the first time I watched it, and then I watched it like 5 years later, and I loved it. Do
you think that Phineas has microcephaly?
I don't know what that is.
It's that disease that people often derogatorily call pinhead.
No, I think he's a cartoon character.
You know the thing that like the circus guys have, like the famous circus.
It is now.
You like the character? Okay, no, because Max.
I would say no.
Max, there's a character in the show named Pinhead Pierre that looks like that, and so the fact that he's also in the same show and has that disease apparently.
What? Pinhead Pierre? That sounds racist. Yeah. I don't think they can call him that.
The guy is like, "Hello, I am Pinhead Pierre," and you're like, "That's not right."
I don't remember this. What episode is this?
I don't.
Yeah, remember?
I don't think this is correct.
Yes, it is. Look up Pinhead Pierre now.
Oh no, I'm googling him. He's real, but I mean,
Pinhead.
No, but look, he's got a big nose. Phineas has a big nose, pointy head.
His big nose is his pointy head.
Yeah, but no, he's got a big nose, and then on the other side, he's got a pointy head.
I think.
And then he's got no chin. Mom, come here. Look at his character. Look at his mom.
You're getting your mom in here.
Mom.
Yeah.
All right, so you see this character right here, Phineas?
Yes.
All right. Does he have microcephaly?
I would would say that would be a good, diagnosis. Yeah.
Boom.
Oh,
Actual
stop,
doctor. Actual doctor said
What?
that he's got
Your mom's
microcephaly.
not a
I
doctor.
said that would be
She's a doctor of thugonomics.
What the hell are you talking about?
He's got microcephaly.
I think is a cartoon character drawn to look like a pea.
Yeah, and
Oh
Ferb
shit,
and
I
F.
never realized that.
Yeah,
Look at
they
the
look
logo
like a
for-
P and an F.
Look at
That's
the
the whole
logo
point.
for Phineas and Ferb. And look at the P and the F. It looks like Phineas and Ferb's head.
I don't think that that's correct.
Literally, look at the logo. Look at the logo. It even has the outlines of their eyes. Dude.
Nope, already made up my mind.
No, if you-
Candice looks
if
like a C if she's facing the right direction.
Max, if you look at the Phineas and
Wait,
Ferb
what's
logo,
the sister's name again?
Candace.
Candice dick fit in your mouth. Got him.
Max, I'm looking at the logo right now. It literally has Phineas's hair on the P and Ferb's hair on the F. And it has-
Zach.
Yeah?
He knows.
I'm new to this whole thing.
You never been on a podcast before?
I've never been on your podcast before.
Oh, so you're an old time vet of podcasts.
My dad literally runs the Inbound Podcasting Network. I'm literally in front of his step and repeat right now. My dad is a producer of like
Your
15
dad's a doctor?
that's not what My dad is,
Inbound,
like,
what's it
he's a
called?
producer.
Inbound podcast.
Inbound podcast.
What is this?
It's a lot of business podcasts more than anything.
Oh, can he get me on that network?
I yes,
can
but
network on there.
you have to like pay him.
Like how much? Like $1?
No, not a. Let's just get back to the topic.
What?
Yeah,
$2?
I don't know his rate. $2 though.
So $3. All right, so let's talk about the awful Marvel thing that they did.
That was genuinely the worst.
So
Why'd they do that?
Here's my opinion on it. I liked it before I was a Marvel fan because I didn't know anything about it, and then
That's not why
After I
it's
be-
bad. That's not why it's bad at all.
is it bad
No.
then?
The Marvel characters, okay, I was gonna say they have nothing to do with it, but the Marvel characters actually do kind of suck, and they're not really like how they actually are supposed to be. But that's not why the episode's so bad. The episode's bad because for some reason in this episode they were like, "Hey, let's make Phineas a complete dick jerk, and then let's make it be like, oh, women are less than men." And
Oh,
then-
fuck, he did do that.
and then like, and it's they took
Yeah, we
such
know
a
you're woke.
weird
We know you're woke.
direction.
I actually
Of-
feel like Phineas's anger was justified considering the stake of the world was like there.
No,
No,
It was the
you have to.
world, man.
It's yes, all women, Zach.
no, okay,
What?
all right. Listen,
Why we have these podcasts?
it's,
To have an open
it's
discussion.
just that I just don't think that was a good way to go about. If you want to make it an episode about feminism, I'd for one be 100% for that. But that was just a horrible way to go about it because you just completely stripped this character who's a good guy and making him this awful guy, and then having Isabella and Candice sing this feminism song, and they're like, "We did it, we fixed it."
Yeah, they're
And
like,
it's like,
oh,
what? That doesn't give me any message. That
Let's
doesn't
go,
tell
women.
me anything.
This might just be me. I never viewed the episode as trying to convey a feminist message.
Watch it again.
Maybe-
Watch
it's
it
the
again and open
it's
your
the-
eyes this time.
It's the only thing they made that episode about, and I don't know. Like I felt like that could be a really cool episode.
All right, have you
It's-
guys
it just
heard about
made
the
me
new
mad.
Marvel characters?
for,
Safe
like,
Space
the
and
MCU?
Snowflake.
All right.
Google
Shut
it.
up.
Google Safe Space and Snowflake.
1 second.
They're
Okay,
they're these new Marvel characters. I want to get your guys' because like me and my comic book friends talk about it all the time and how this is a really
Okay,
dumb idea.
Okay, Safe Space and Snowflake. Wait, I thought you were making a joke. What?
No, I wish I was making a joke. They're bad.
What?
Yeah, so they're the first non-binary superheroes, and they are just total fucking trash characters. They're not good. Their
This is an actual
design is awful. They don't look like superheroes. They look like They should be in a pride parade.
I feel like if they name them Safe Space and Snowflake, though, that's like a bunch of boomers trying to like criticize.
It
millennials.
absolutely is. It absolutely is. But they're supposed to be the good guys. They're like, this is what the world needs. This is what the world needs. Dude, and someone like redrew them as Snowstar and Safe Wall, and it's infinitely better. And when you have something named Safe Wall as a superhero who's infinitely better than the actual idea that Marvel has, you know you fucked up.
Legitimately thought you were making a joke.
I was not. I never joke about comic books.
Aiden's gone mysteriously silent.
I'm just listening.
Well, because
Well,
I want to get your guys' opinion on this. Like, Aiden, you're woke.
You cut out for a second. I didn't hear what you said.
You're woke, right?
Yeah, I'm hecka woke.
All right. Is this a good idea?
I think the one good idea that comes from it is having non-binary superheroes. I think that's a great idea. But it shouldn't be these two, you know?
They shouldn't have named
definitely
them something that are obviously like.
Yeah, I thought they were going to be Republicans.
Yeah.
When I heard their name, right? It sounds like people who would name themselves, because those are like the two things that.
It's like if the first gay
make
superhero was
fun
called
of.
Captain Gay.
Yes, exactly.
It's really just not a great idea. It's like if you had a superhero named Super N-Word. Like, it would not work. No, because that's what they said. They're like, it's a used as a derogatory term, and we're trying to take it back. These characters are trying to take it back because they don't see it as derogatory. They see it as a term of endearment.
You know, like, in the broad scheme of things, we are three white cis men who, you know, putting our input about this, but in my personal opinion, I feel like going about putting things in media is very important, but when you put it in just to
put it
woke, just to be woke, it never works. And that's my same problem with the Phineas and Ferb episode. I think it's very important that we put it in, and I usually, you know, it's like, I don't hate them for trying that, but it's like, nobody's going to get a message from that. You know, you gotta work a message into an actual story with characters whose personality are bigger than just the liberal agenda that's pushing it. That made me sound like a Republican, but I'm literally, you know,
it was just kind of, both of them were executed poorly. Like, they had the right idea, but it was poor execution.
I don't think this was even like, what is the idea here? The idea is that, do you know their powers?
What are we talking about?
We're talking about these guys. I don't think the idea of this character is even that great. Like, if you want to have non-binary people, that's fine. But I always say this: you have to create a good character first before you make them a symbol. Star Wars fucked it up with Rey. They made her a symbol before they made her a character. That you can't make a symbol before you make a character.
It sounds like safe. It sounds like Safe Space and Snowflake. Like, their names are, and so I can't look past that.
You know, I'm not like the biggest Star Wars guy, and I haven't even seen every movie, but I have seen 2 of the movies with Rey, and I actually thought plenty of personality.
I agree with
it. Actually, it did work.
Okay, name one of her character flaws.
One of her character flaws?
Yeah.
Stubborn.
Oh geez, I haven't seen him for a while.
Zach said she's stubborn. That would be a character flaw if it then worked out poorly for her, but every time she's stubborn, she turns out to be right.
She may have been a poorly written character. What I was arguing mainly against is she wasn't a character just to stand for like one progressive issue. You know,
I would agree for that for the first one, Force Awakens, but if you watch like the last one, the most recent one, absolutely not.
I could be wrong.
Rey is nothing like. I'm gonna be honest for a second. Aiden and I tried to write a play let's not bring up the play. Actually, let's talk about something else. I'll just say it had all the problems we're talking about. We had characters that defined the.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about our next topic: plays we've written.
Yeah. We'll say that it wasn't this. But it turned into where every character their only personality trait was the progressive issue that they stood for. You know?
Yeah, and then
So-
we eventually were like, yeah, we need to scrap this, and
Yeah,
so we
it,
did.
It turned really bad, especially because we had more people on the team that actually had experienced those issues, and then slowly they dropped off one by one until it was just Zach Cameron and I. Yeah, we were 3 white men writing stuff, or like one was like a person of color dealing with racism, which at the time was based off a real story. Was a person of color who had experienced pretty much the exact same scenarios, and she was handling pretty much all that section. And just tried to continue with that. We're like, we have never experienced racism in our lives.
I don't think that you have to experience something to write about it. Like you can.
You definitely need to know enough
The thing
about
is, the reason it was in there though was to make points about this, and it's like we don't have the knowledge to. We can't make points about it when we don't even know what we're talking about exactly.
I disagree. I think anyone can write a story about anything and still have a point to be made. It can be a dumb point. It can be something.
That's the thing. We didn't want to do something dumb and bad. Like we didn't want to just write a play to say we wrote.
Are you saying that like no white person can write a script about racism that is actually good?
It probably wouldn't be good.
Max, have you seen those SNL sketches? Have you seen those SNL sketches where the theater kids are like, and they try to like do all these? Yeah,
I love those sketches because that was our theater department.
That was our theater department.
That's what our play was.
What was the child's name? Basketball.
Yeah, our play turned into that SNL sketch.
Damn.
Yeah, so we had to scrap it.
It's currently in
it was literally just like 2 hours of racism, bad.
Aggressivism,
homophobia, bad.
How about this? Can you have a good character that's racist?
A character like a good
no,
character,
like a good person who's racist.
No, I don't think so because
hang on. Like,
I think to be a good person, and that's something that makes you not a good person. So I would say no.
Yeah, but do you have to be all good? There are shades of gray. Like, what
a
racist guy who goes to a soup kitchen every weekend but just doesn't give any soup to black people?
I didn't hear what you said.
What about a racist guy who like volunteers at a soup kitchen but he just doesn't give any soup to black people?
Not a good person.
Bad person.
Yeah, Max, it's not. Like Max, I would have made an argument if you were like a guy who like has racist views, but when he works in a soup kitchen, like this serves everybody. Like that would have been a different conversation. But the fact that you straight went for he doesn't serve black people, yes, he's a bad person.
Well, he doesn't stop other people from giving him soup. He just doesn't do it himself.
I would even call us a bad person who's trying to be a good person.
That's why I said it was
then they could be a good person. But I would still label.
But what Max straight up said just was like not even like up for discussion.
Yeah, what if this guy was racist and he continued racist and did racist things?
What if he gave the black people soup, but he spit in it first?
Not.
What if he took food away from black people?
What if he was like Robin Hood, but of racism?
All right.
That doesn't make any sense. Like robbing from the rich to give to
no, he robs from the black to give to the white. Like the government.
Yeah, that's just the government.
I think that was a good bit. I'm gonna keep that.
That was a good bit.
I'm proud of that.
That was good. Keep that
that's probably gonna like get me in trouble or something because I'm white. But I mean, it's worth it.
Dude, I want you to know I am risking so much by saying all this stuff on the podcast.
Oh yeah, dude. Just interacting with me in person is risking shit. Like remember when Ellen was in the same room as George Bush and everyone freaked the fuck out?
In the same room? Dude, they went to a ball game together.
They're friends.
They went together.
They didn't go together. They were in the same box.
Yeah, they did. They got seats together and they were
eating
popcorn out of the same bucket.
So you think that George Bush and Ellen just happened to be sitting next to each other at that ball game?
Dude, okay. So one time, I know it's not a ball game, but I went to a wrestling thing, a SummerSlam, with my dad, and our friend had tickets to a booth seat And she was like, I don't like wrestling. You like wrestling. Here you go. So we had booth tickets to SummerSlam. It was really cool. And there were a bunch of people who I had never met before in this thing. And they were all also like, you know, just, they were like, oh yeah, we just bought booth tickets and they sent us up here. So we were all hanging out. And we were all best friends for the night. I didn't know them.
Yeah, but you're not sharing food with them. And
oh, yes, we were.
I can agree with Max on that, but this was a different scenario. They definitely planned to meet up.
The point is, like, if I turn into like a George Bush type villain, if I have like a villain arc in the anime we call life, that it's not going to turn out well for you.
Just by associating with you, or
yeah.
What do you mean? No, like I know.
Well, think
that,
about anyone who ever shook hands with Hitler.
You just compare yourself to Hitler?
No, I compare Bush to Hitler.
No,
that's
okay. So then I compared Hitler to Bush, and then myself to Bush.
By the community of property, you're comparing yourself to Hitler.
Well, I mean, what if? Like, we never know. What if I like go through like a psychotic break and turn evil?
I'm gonna get in so much trouble for being on this podcast.
What if, man? You never know. What if I get reverse woke or whatever? What if I get like mind washed into like brainwashed into like didn't they make that movie what was it called, Burden? It never came out because of coronavirus, but it was about the guy who joined the Klan or whatever.
I don't know.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Like, what if I get brainwashed? What if I get like stolen and then I turn evil?
You mean kind of like a Bucky Barnes situation?
No. Like a real thing.
What if I get stolen and hypnotized into an evil villain man?
No, like real life.
No, but realistic.
Yeah. Listen. What if I get stolen and then I get turned into an even worse version of Hitler, but like realistically?
Max.
You never know for sure is all I'm saying.
This is a pretty crazy hypothetical.
Max, like, I thought you were just like, no, yeah, but just think about this. What if this happens? Like, as if...
That's our job as artists. It's to think about what could happen.
Think about if we become worse than Hitler.
Yeah.
Wake up every day and go, man, what if this happens to me? I just try not to be.
The thing is, with Max, comes from, it's like, oh, you gotta consider all the possibilities. But Max has such this mindset that nobody else does this, so he has to consider all the bad ones way more than anybody else.
Yeah.
All these things cross my mind, and it's like you think about them just to think about them. You know,
they never cross my mind.
I'm not. I think I phrase that in a way where it sounds like, oh, you know, what if I was Hitler? No, not like that. But like, I've kind of.
I'm not saying what if I was Hitler. I'm saying what if I was super Hitler.
Wait, you cut out. What'd you say?
What if I was super Hitler? Is what I'm saying.
I really should not be laughing at this right now.
I don't like that. I want to talk about that. Like, people are like, oh, I shouldn't be laughing at this, but it's so funny. No, you should be laughing at it, man. Because, look, if you don't laugh at it, then we're all just miserable and then we die. Do you really want that?
Oh, that's not what I want.
I'd rather laugh at the bad stuff. You know, one of the worst experiences of my life actually led to one of the most insightful comments I've ever heard. I was talking to one of my grandma's friends, and it was me, my grandma, and her friend, and then my grandma was like, I gotta go to the bathroom, talk to my friend for a little bit. So now I'm alone with this 82-year-old woman who I've never met before, and I'm like, so, what'd you do for fun as a kid? And she's like, oh, I didn't have fun. I grew up in a concentration camp. And I was like, oh, damn. Because now, where do you go from that? What do I do with that? But then, you know, we got to talking, and I was like, well, if you went through all that, how do you laugh? And she said to me, was something I've heard a lot of other people in documentaries say who went through tough times, and that if you don't laugh, they win.
Off that, actually.
They already lost though.
Yeah, but then
They
they win in the
surrendered.
end if you don't laugh.
Nah, they lost, and now those concentration camps don't exist anymore. Now we have American ones.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah, you know what's funny? Like they're making like all these like revivals and remakes of stuff from like the 40s and 50s. I don't like the remake of Nazis that are happening right now.
Yeah, weren't we supposed to be the ones that were helping liberate those camps?
There was this
We got
great
the-
little sketch
Got the roles.
thing that someone did. It was like a little animated thing, and these people came back. This group of like super woke people brought back some like World War II veterans from the past. And they're like, oh, how did we get here? Whoa. And then the people are like, so we need you to help fight the new Nazis. They came back, and this is the world now. Look at it. And they're like, oh my God, women wearing pants. This is unnatural. It just goes to show, like, what we think of as Nazis now, it's not the same.
Yeah, but they're still Nazis.
Yeah, but it's not like people are like, oh, it's like, yeah, they're still out there. They still are a threat. They're still dangerous, but they're nowhere near as dangerous as they were.
Don't be a Nazi sympathizer.
I'm not saying they're good. I'm saying they're bad.
I don't know,
Yeah,
dude.
I'm saying they're just as bad. There's just not as many of them.
Oh, it sounds like you're saying they're not as bad.
That's not what I'm saying at all.
That is
sounded
exactly what you said.
What you were
That
saying.
those were the words that came out of your mouth.
That's not what I meant.
You meant they are
Okay,
as
so you
bad,
gotta-
but there's not as many. Right? Is
My-
that what you
Yeah.
meant?
Yeah, that is not
We
what
should
you
make
said.
that
my
very
friend.
clear. very, very
Yeah.
different.
Got-
thing.
yeah.
I think
I'm speaking into the
think it is a
microphone
mix-
right now. Max thinks that Nazis are still just as bad. There just aren't as many.
I think you just mixed up your words somewhere in there you didn't notice.
All right.
And
all
you
right.
should have seen the shocked looks on both of our faces. Like I can't see Aiden's face, but I know exactly how he looked when you said that.
Monotone.
Dude, okay, so how are you guys dealing with this? What do you think about this whole coronavirus thing? It's pretty crazy, huh?
I think
You go first, Aiden.
we've been hearing about the influx of protest.
Yes.
Just like
I've been hearing about the protests.
there's just been more and more, and there's pictures of huge crowds, and it's all a bunch of white people, and they're all blocking like ambulances.
That's
and,
not
like,
true. I saw an
hospital.
Asian guy in one of them.
You're a liar.
No, I did.
You're a liar. They're all like standing in front of hospitals and not letting ambulances get in. They're like, let us out. Let us out
Dude,
of
they're
our home."
also holding they're like, oh, you know what? We should show how smart we are by holding up a Trump banner. Like,
Dude.
that's a great idea. What else do people like? The Confederate flag. Let's hold that up as well.
We got to be in the dumbest country.
No, we are
First, man.
definitely not in the dumbest country. Not at all. People are this dumb
Yes, we
everywhere.
are.
We just have a lot of social media so we can hear about it.
Yeah, it's true.
The thing is, like, I think we're definitely in the dumbest era of America.
No,
Easily.
How about this?
history
If
is
you,
just-
the dumbest dude. You think we're the dumbest now, and we had slavery for like 150 years, but now is the worst.
but
now
but
is the
now-
dumbest.
that's not being dumb though. That's just having.
Here's
lot of
how we're
evil-
dumb. Here's how we're dumb now. We have the technology, the science to prove what we should be doing, and people are still ignoring it.
Here's what
How
I
dumb
think.
we are.
I think anyone that doesn't want to vaccinate their kids, death.
I mean,
Like if you're like the type of person who's not vaccinating your kids, are we really losing the next Einstein? Like not the kids. The kids are fine. They don't have a choice. They don't choose who they're born to.
parents, yeah.
But the parents, like, we're not losing the next Einstein. We're not losing, the guy who's going to cure cancer is not one of these people.
I'm against the death penalty, but I think we can make a couple
Same.
exceptions
For-
for these select few.
Like, it's
Don't
like,
think we
how
should
are you
vaccinate
this
kids?
dumb? because you know that if they
What?
have a vaccine for this corona thing, there are people who are gonna be like, "Don't get it. It's bad for you."
Yeah, what's that thing I've been hearing about? People think G5 is causing
Yeah,
it now?
people think 5G internet
5G,
towers
yeah,
are causing
internet.
coronavirus,
I
so
couldn't
they're
remember what it
burning
was.
them.
What's giving people the coronavirus?
It's not, dude. Like people are like, "Oh my god, we're so dumb now." No, we just have more time to document the dumb stuff. The smart stuff is what lives on in history, so we all write about the smart.
That's
smart
what I was
guys.
gonna say.
No one writes about the guy who saw his friend cut off his foot on a dare, so he tried to one up him by cutting off his own head and then did it and died. We don't write about that guy because he didn't do anything special. Because he died by cutting his own head off like a fucking moron.
See, what I say is that what we're doing right now is that we're living in the time in American history that we're going to look back and be like, hey, we had the obvious warnings and the obvious facts to back up what we should be doing, and people were still like caught in their own ways and ignored it. That's why I think we're in the dumbest era.
I don't know if it'll say that, dude. It'll be one page in a history book. It'll probably just talk about how, it was spread everywhere and it spread fast.
Honestly, what they'll probably talk about more is all the political turmoil between, in the government right now with Trump and all that. They'll probably talk about that because then in history books only like to write about famous people. They don't write about the normal people.
Yeah, but
dude, Bernie won't even be in history books because he wasn't the primary either time.
Exactly. He'll be
because
maybe mentioned once in a sentence.
But that's because Gore almost won, and some people still think he used to win.
Yeah, because he was. Because once again, I think if you get I think you should win.
Like he's like the only famous, other president candidate.
Yeah,
that didn't become president. It's like it's only him.
Look, people they don't write. No one how many books are there written about Alexander the Great? How many, but then again, and then as opposed to that, how many books are written about the lives of people during that time? Nowhere near as many. Because everyone wants to talk about the big famous, the person who was big and famous. So everyone's going to talk about Trump. He got his wish. He'll be remembered.
It's a real shame that Bernie's not going to be remembered considering he did more for the progressive. He's done more for the progressive movement than anyone currently alive right now.
Okay, name someone. Name another politician who did a lot for the progressive movement from 100 years ago.
From 100 years ago,
or more than from before your parents
FDR.
were born. FDR was president.
You mean just a politician?
Yeah, just a politician who was not president.
You got nothing.
What is the fact that we don't remember these people? Because we're all on the same page with that.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, we agree with that.
Oh.
Ranting now because we're angry about it.
I was actually the first one to say that. So we were saying, unless they're president or someone almost, of that importance,
someone who did something.
You're not written down, and that's why Zach was saying, it's annoying people like Bernie won't be written down in history.
I didn't hear it's annoying part. I just heard people like Bernie won't be written down because he kept cutting out.
Yeah, because
it's frustrating.
Yeah. They don't have that label. I don't know, dude. People
they never write about they don't sing songs for when they talk about great battles, they don't talk about the soldiers. They talk about the leader and the army. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, I'm smart and intelligent.
They're not talking
listen to me.
People
listen to me soliloquize on the notions of history.
I love how this was a podcast about Phineas and Ferb, and now we're talking about straight up Nazis and
it always goes like this.
Oh, it does.
That's how podcasts work. Your dad does podcasts.
My dad does business podcasts, so they mainly just talk about.
Okay, I guess you would have to stick to the.
Also, a lot of business people are not as interesting.
It's their marketing more than anything.
I don't know. Every podcast I've heard that's not a marketing thing.
You guys know about Cumtown?
About what?
I grew up there actually.
No, Cumtown the podcast. Cumtown. There's a podcast called Come Town.
I think I've heard of it. I think
what
you've
is
talked
it?
about it to me.
It's
But
a
what is it?
podcast. It's run
Yeah,
by
why-
a bunch of comedians.
I know,
It's
but
really funny.
Why are you bringing it up? Is the question.
I don't know. I just like the name Come Town. I think that's funny.
And the Max and Evner podcast. Let's do a friend. What's the name of this podcast, by the way? It's so
called
long.
the Max and Friends. Let's do a podcast featuring Max and Friends. A podcast with Max and Friends podcast. It's got quotation marks. It's got parentheses. It's got a colon. It's got everything.
Okay.
If you spell it all out, it actually makes grammatical sense.
I can imagine. It's just, yeah.
I spent a lot of time thinking about what's the longest and dumbest name I can think of for this podcast.
You
You know what's interesting? You know how we were all taught in like 5th grade about run-on sentences when
Yeah.
we were learning about grammar? Do you know in the English language, run-on sentences are no longer considered bad grammar? It's impossible to have. You could have an entire book that's one sentence, and if you use like your commas and all that correctly, it would still be grammatically correct.
Challenge accepted.
Okay,
Damn,
do it. Matt.
what the fuck are teachers even doing now? They're like, you gotta learn cursive. You gotta not use run-on sentences. Make sure you wash your hands. You know, it's all dumb stuff that you shouldn't be listening to.
Wait, back into that last one.
Don't pick up your friend's poop with your bare hands. You know, dumb shit like that.
Yeah, dude. In 7th grade, first I have to learn how to use semicolons. Then I learned I gotta actually wash my booty hole. Like,
I've
Come on.
never once used a semicolon in my entire life.
Well, yeah, first they teach us
Not
the
once.
mitochondria is the
another fun fact.
the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Zach, don't eat your fidget spinner. Like, Jesus.
In the English language, every single semicolon can be replaced with a period, which is why we never use semicolons.
So you
It's
get
not-
semicolons fairly often.
It's not the other way around. Like, you can't put a semicolon
You
wherever.
a bitch.
Yeah, every time, Zach, you used a semicolon, you could have just put a period.
No,
And
but
it would work.
it seems more choppy.
No, you
No.
feel like you're smarter.
You just
Correct.
want to feel superior, and that's fine.
Thank you.
That's
You're-
probably
like, here's the
that's-
thing. People are like, oh, you're trying to sound smart. Yeah, of course they're trying to sound smart, dude. They don't feel like they're smart in the first place, so they need this.
You
Just
know,
let 'em have
you
it.
know how I always write in cursive.
Yeah.
Yes, it's because that's just always how I've done it. But the reason I've always done it is because when I started getting older and realizing we didn't need to, I still did it because I felt smart.
Yeah, all the power to you, man.
See,
All
I don't
power
need to
me.
be smart because I'm funny.
Yeah, you know,
I don't need to be
Oh,
smart
me?
because I think I'm funny.
I mean, yeah, but like that's not like how like. I think if anything, the smartest people are the funnier people because they know a little bit about everything and they have more to pull from.
I'm not saying I'm not smart. I'm just saying I don't have to act like it.
Okay.
maybe you should a little bit.
Yeah, it might help you.
Maybe, you know, the little seesaw of like funny and smart. I feel like you're a bit closer to the center, the funny side.
Damn. All right, just roast my ass.
Oh, we're at that point in the hour. Okay.
What do you mean? We've been doing this whole time.
Yeah, we're supposed to be roasting Zach.
It's not what I
I
said.
wanted to call this episode Cyberbullying Celebrities.
I'm not a celebrity.
How many times have you been recognized in public? If it's more than 5, you're a celebrity.
I'm like 20.
Celebrity. Weren't you recognized at Disneyland?
Instead, just
By the way, tell them to subscribe to my YouTube channel.
No, you
because-
will tell them that in like a minute when we're done with the podcast. They'll
Oh,
give you a
you
minute.
said we were gonna do. You said we were gonna do it at the beginning, and so I was worried.
No,
that
no,
I
no,
messed
no.
up.
I explain who everyone is, and then at the end, you have a minute to plug your shit.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So only people who listen to the end will actually like hear it.
well, if you plugged it in the beginning, not a single person would go, "Yeah, let me go do that."
Yeah, because they
They
don't
don't know
know
who you are.
Who the fuck is this dude? I've never heard this man
Yeah,
before.
fair enough. Fair enough.
Also, who's gonna be watching this that you don't already know in real life, Zach?
Dude, I don't know who your followers are, man, because I
It's
can't find you.
mostly me and other people on the show.
Okay. All right. I still can't
Wait.
find you on. What's your channel name, man? I'm looking.
Max
you
and
up.
Friends is the channel. So just put in Max and Friends podcast and then switch to channels and I'll be the first one.
Gotcha. There you are. Full
What do you guys
episodes
think about Cruella DeVille?
Cruella DeVille.
Yeah, from 101 Dalmatians.
I think she's a very fun villain.
You think?
Yeah, she's a terrifically written
When
villain.
she was younger, you think she was hot?
No, and I also disagree with Zach. I don't think she's a perfectly written villain.
Nah, perfectly written villain is probably like
Perfectly written villains need to be dynamic, and you need to understand why they do the things they do. Cruella DeVille, she's just like, I'm a dog murderer. I murder dogs.
I fucking love killing puppies. It's my favorite
like,
shit.
I'm looking at your podcast right now.
The best villains. The best villains are the ones where you can like, you know why they're doing the things that they're doing. You know?
We know why Cruella did it. It just wasn't that justified.
She just wants a coat.
She wanted to look fabulous. By the way, Max, I'm looking at your podcast. You did a Netflix originals review. Did you, by any chance?
That was before Who Was.
Oh, yeah, it says 2 years ago. Never mind.
That was before that.
I was curious.
We can do.
Well, I have a question.
I was actually going to ask you, Zach. Once this whole thing is done,
yeah,
there's another show that I do with Michael, where we watch stuff. It's called Second Thoughts. We watch stuff we used to like as kids, and then we talk about it. But I was thinking it would be very interesting if we had you on there and watched an episode of the Who Was show.
I do it. Can Aiden come too?
No, that's 4 people. That's too many.
Because stop inviting me to things.
I'm just saying, Aiden's already seen it, so like he like.
No, I know, but I've seen some of them too. So we'll just watch one of those.
Okay.
And then you can like talk shit about your co-stars.
No, I'm not going to do that because you know a lot of the shit about the co-stars, and we're not going to do that.
Well, I mean, you can talk. That's for you to talk about. Like I talk shit about James Corden all the time.
One called Peter Rabbit Sucks Ass.
Yeah, Peter Rabbit does suck ass. That's a bad film.
I heard it was.
I actually didn't see it. I actually did not see it.
Well,
yeah.
You should keep it that way because it's not good. Like we're not talking about Peter Rabbit. We're talking about Phineas and Ferb. Thanks for watching this podcast, this dumb podcast with dumb guys, some dumb boys.
You get to enjoy a tiny sliver of talking about Phineas and Ferb, and then a huge, large portion of us trying to remind ourselves that I forgot where I was going with this. Something political. We're good people.
I think it's like a little bit about Phineas and Ferb, and then what if Max was Super Hitler?
Yeah, a little bit too much of Max thinking he always needs to bring up crazy scenarios and what we would do in him because he makes him feel like a philosopher.
Max, what are you going to name
this episode? Sometimes just makes
this
him sound
episode
like a
probably Who Was Phineas and Ferb?
Do it, I dare you.
And then I'm gonna put that picture of you that I put in the chat. I sent in the chat of you making the theater kid face.
You're the worst. Okay.
Dude, I mean, we're all guilty. Actually, I don't know if I've actually seen a picture of Max doing that face, but
I have never done it.
Many people do that face. It is the worst face in the world. I'm sorry, Zach, but it's also
didn't even
common.
notice. I just didn't even notice it.
Like it's awful, but it's common. so
I'm justified.
That's like every Lin-Manuel Miranda selfie.
The man does not know how to smile with his whole face.
Dude, you know I love Lin-Manuel Miranda. You know I think he's one of the most talented writers out there. Singer.
He has sung before.
He has sung. He has sung
on Broadway.
I'm a big fan of him, but dude, the selfies that man takes.
What if Lynn joined the podcast right now? And was like,
I would love to have him on the podcast so I could ask him like, so tell me about how the coronavirus is like Lord Voldemort through rap. All right, Zach, plug your shit.
Inside a house and playing lots of games, the coronavirus is like he who shall not be named. You'd probably do something like that.
Oh, that's a good one, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, yeah.
All right, plug your shit. Plug all your Instagram stuff. It'll all be in the description as well.
All right, cool. So if you liked what you heard and want to hear more content, follow me on YouTube at Zach Timson. You can also find me on Instagram and on Twitter and on Facebook. And if you want to see me perform, you can check out Netflix's The Who Was Show. It's on Netflix Family. 13 episodes. It's a historical sketch comedy show for kids. If you have brothers and sisters ages like 8 to 12, you'll love it. And maybe you'll love it if you're older than that. Who knows?
Is that everything you want to plug?
Trying to think. Oh, yeah. Comedy Sports Los Angeles College League, Friday nights at 10 p.m. Once this whole coronavirus thing is over, you can find tickets.
I dropped my keys.